Hi, my name is Ria J. I'm 10 years old and I'm a student here at Spence. I would just like to start by reading you guys a piece from my vignette that I wrote last year. It is called A Cupful of Hope. A child falls down in her cloudy bed. The sheets swallow her while she chats with her mom and dad. Their heavy conversation propagates as they talk of her skin. Her milk chocolate skin waves all over. It is a delicate waterfall. Her skin whispers mysterious words into you. Sometimes the message is carbon dioxide, other times it's candy. The world yells at her skin, "You're not good enough." Then the skin's message quickly scrambles away. Her parents know the true message and try to inject it into her, but social constructs push her into a corner, so she must release a rainstorm. She is hurt. Her feelings shake like juice. She feels like torn paper. She's wrong, of course, but from what she sees in the world, it seems so. The girl sees beauty magazines that catch her eye. Only white girls are on it. The careless stereotypes laugh at her. She tries to keep them out of her mind, but they storm back in. She thinks, "Am I a mistake?" Okay, so that was my vignette, and this vignette was written about the experience I was going through starting around the 3rd grade. I'm in the 5th grade now, and this is my 6th year at Spence. Mr. O, our gym teacher, pointed out that we spend more time at school than we do at home, and that is especially true for me since I spend at least 2 hours every day just traveling back and forth to school. Spence is my family, but around the 3rd grade, I began to notice that here at Spence, I don't look like my family. I am one of only a few African American students in my grade, and although no one has ever made me feel unworthy or unimportant because of my skin, still it was obvious that I was different, and being different made me feel insecure. Inside, I felt like I didn't fit in. In class, when we talked about race, racial discrimination, or slavery, I would feel really self-conscious. Did some people still believe that one particular race should be better than another? And I questioned whether I was being judged because of the poor situations that some African Americans are in. It was stressful. Outside of school, I was confronted with even more pressures about being different and feeling like the way that I'm different is not exactly desirable, especially in ads, which you can see everywhere. Makeup ads, clothing ads, etc. In these ads, all the people look mostly the same, mostly skinny, lighter-skinned models, almost as if to say that I should aim to look like them if I wanted to be in the preferred group. So was I less important, less wanted? Was I valued as much as everyone else? Was my ideas just as respected? These questions rolled around to my brain all the time, and to be honest, it was a burden. I was putting myself down. It was causing me to carry a sadness around with me almost everywhere I went. Then, in the midst of all that, came 4th grade and my new 4th grade homeroom teacher, Miss Ashley Lynn Marshall. Let me just describe to you what meeting Miss Marshall for this first time was like. First of all, Miss Marshall was tall, and I mean really, really tall. She was 5'11" to be exact, and when looking up at her in class, you felt to shrink down, like, okay, this is the boss. She was strong and athletic. She was often on her way to run or on her way back from running. She had glossy dark chocolate skin and an ocean of long black hair. Her white teeth beamed and her eyes sparkled when she smiled. Are you getting the picture? She was impressive. Truthfully, during school activities, I felt that Miss Marshall knew me and about my battle with social constructs even before we met. She was one of 2 African American students in her entire school. The only other African American student was her younger sister. I felt I could be myself in class because I could trust that my teacher would understand me and my situation. I wanted to tell Miss Marshall about how I'd been feeling, and in the beginning of the year, Miss Marshall said we could write a letter of reflection, explaining how the year is going, our goals, personal feelings, how we think the year will carry on to be, etc. I told her about the way I sometimes felt self-conscious at school because of my skin, and this is what she wrote. Dear Ria, thank you for your letter of reflection and for conferencing with me this week. I felt honored to hear you speak so honestly about your experience in 4th grade and at Spence. Your letter brought a huge smile to my face because your voice is strong. It is only November, and in a short amount of time, you've learned so much about yourself. My job as your teacher is to show you a window and a mirror. The window is for you to see people's lives and experiences. It is important to be able to put yourself in others' shoes. The mirror is to show you, yourself. As your teacher, I need to be able to give you activities, experiences, books, etc., where you can find pieces of your own identity. And in class, Miss Marshall taught us about our identities, the beauty of our cultures and ethnicities. We talked about strength in ourselves, self-determination and courage, but also about fighting social constructs, never giving up and seeing the good in things we sometimes put aside. Miss Marshall introduced me to the book, The Mighty Miss Malone, a story of a black girl, a minority in her community, and very poor. She also introduced me to A Jar of Dreams, a story of a Japanese girl named Rinko, who too is a minority in her community. She hates being Japanese because she believes that her culture and beliefs will only be made fun of at school. I related to Rinko's situation because of my struggles with the belief that people would think less of me because of my African American identity. But Rinko had an ally, her Aunt Waka, and now at school I had an ally too, Miss Marshall. Everything I was learning made me stronger. Miss Marshall was introducing experiences and pieces of my own identity. I would be able to see myself and have a reflection of my identity during class. Miss Marshall came at the perfect time. I was becoming confident in who I was at school. No more covering and no more hiding, no more constructs restricting me, no more feelings of mental and emotional injustice. I was free. I had found my voice. I could speak with strength. I loved my identity. I loved my milk chocolate skin. I loved my curly hair, and I was okay with being different. My father often reminds me that when we were babies, all we wanted was to be loved and accepted, and to love and accept. We don't care if we are white, black, pale lemon color, purple, green, or red, or blue. It didn't matter if we were a girl or a boy. We didn't care about who watched what show and what the coolest iPhone is. That is how we all need to be now. That way, we can all be each other's allies all the time. We need to love each other for who we are on the inside and not for the outside stuff. Being kind, open, and respectful, sensitive to others. And remember, when faced with the choice of being loved and accepted or not, always choose love and acceptance. My family at home is as diverse as any family can be. There is German descent and Asian, Irish and African descent. There's West Indian, Caribbean, and French Canadians. There are dark faces and white faces and brown freckled faces, black hair, blonde hair, and kinky reddish brown hair. Faces with green eyes, hazel eyes, and deep dark black eyes. When I traveled, whether to Jamaica or Prague or Austria, Cayman, England, or Canada, everywhere I saw myself, everywhere people that look like me, or like my aunt, or my grandmother, or my cousins. I am always home, and that feels amazing. That's something I would never know if I wasn't different, if there weren't so many parts of me. Even if you're not lucky enough to have allies like my parents or the strong, beautiful Miss Marshall or a beaming Miss Brizendine greeting you every day at the front door as we walk into the lower school, making sure you know you're indeed a loved, valued member of the family. Even though we can all be allies to ourselves, love ourselves, our cultures and beliefs, our accomplishments, our goals, our ethnicity, our history, our families. Think positively and be confident. How you see yourself is a big part of your identity. How we see ourselves, even more than how people see us, will determine your destiny. Learning to see the beauty, the strength, the power in ourselves is one of the most important goals to achieve in this world. I would like to end with the last page of my vignette. I have come this far. I know who I am, a brown girl in the world, and I am proud of it. Some people might not like me, but not everyone in the world will like me. I can't stop here. I have a big journey. It could be dangerous, and a stampede of fear and hatred might charge toward me, but I need to remember who I am. I am happy with who I am. Thank you.